Hello, hello, and welcome to the latest chapter of One Piece. This is 1139. No, 1136? Like weird single digit vertical dyslexia just now. Anyways, the chapter title is The Land That Awaits the Sun, which is a very evocative chapter title indeed. Because we've already been to a land that awaits the sun. It was called Fishman Island, and that was like a big deal, is that they had not seen the sun in generations and had been trapped at the bottom of the sea. And it was like a major kind of question of, will Fishman Island be liberated? This is the whole idea behind the Sun Pirates. But in Elbaf, I also see that there is a land that awaits the sun, that being the lowest tier of the three tiers of Elbaf. Still thinking constantly about that top tier. Very, very, very curious about what's going on up there. But the bottommost tier, I think they've also described in terms like this, that it is a land that doesn't see the sun. I mean, it looks pretty sunny when Luffy was running around down there, but I don't know. It can mean all sorts of things. It can be kind of metaphorical. So I don't know if there is a deliberate connection being drawn between Elbaf and Fishman Island, but that would be quite intriguing if it was. Okay, so meanwhile, this is quite the development in Yamato's story. He's come across by interrogating Hold'em, um, this strange dog Onigashima version thing that maybe is being run by holdouts from Kaido's crew. You know, like the meme. Well, it's not a meme. It actually happened, but people use it as a meme of like the Japanese soldiers that didn't know the war ended, and they were still like bunkered down on an offshore base, waiting to fight. Could be a situation like that. But I don't know. I don't know if we should take this as, ooh, this could have like major plot relevance or something. There are still some kind of like outstanding business left in Wano. There's the ancient weapon Pluton, which is still buried deep underneath the volcanoous construction of Wano. But I don't know. I don't know. You know, it goes to show you that if somebody drained all the oceans, a lot of shit would change. But yeah, I kind of think this is going to be more irreverent, more silly, more just kind of checking in on some kind of characters we haven't seen yet in this cover story arc. All right, let's see what happens in the actual chapter. Luffy chowing down at the feast. The moose tastes like dinosaur. This is, of course, the great chieftain elder, who I did show up in the Big Mom flashback. He was one of the two chiefs of that era, and the other one got killed by Big Mom. So he may have retired to some sort of like Valhalla type state. Up in the upper echelon, it still kind of appears that he came down on the boat from that topmost echelon of Elbaf. Um, but it's like unclear what sort of authority he still wields. It feels like the other giants are still the actual reigning chiefs. Damn, he's so huge though. He dwarfs even the other giants. Risk any danger for the man who saved my life. Not often the humans come up here to the sun world. They don't know how to get here. They assume the underworld is Elbaf and end up fleeing. Makes sense, yeah. Oars was a vicious warrior. What the? I guess there's just a bunch of different conversations happening. I was like, what? Total non sequitur. This is a vicious warrior's story has been passed down through our history. Yeah, the question of Oars is still quite outstanding in that he's not like the same species as these giants. There's like another giant species that contains Oars and Little Oars Jr. That we don't really know the details of. 3 times the size of any of you, and the man who finished him off was me. Let's go, Captain Usopp. They're marveling at Jimbei. All the fish in the sea. Mermaid Inlet is like heaven on earth. This is nice. I like this celebration. I like all this giant X little dude stuff. I like the idea that Elbaf is this wonderful historic land. Or I don't know, maybe not so wonderful. Who knows what the hell's going on here. But this very storied, historic place. And yet they really only hear tell of so many things out in the world. They're sort of isolationist, like Wayno. And what are you then? What am I blues? Yeah, there's no explanation here. There's no, like, other example of this. There's, by definition, only Brooke has the life fruit. A toast to the wonders of the vast world. I'm surprised at how many giants haven't ever gone to sea. All the giants in Elbaf were pirates. Yeah, so this is, like, also kind of speaking back to this whole generational sea change. No pun intended. Where the kids don't really have an interest in adventuring and piracy and violence and warriorism and stuff. The latest generation of Elbaf is peaceful. And it's kind of interesting, like, no other place in the series is that presented as even a potential negative. But here, there's definitely a sense that, like, Luffy is, like, annoyed that these kids are wimps. And here, Zoro and Sen and Nami seem like they're a little sorry for the giants, that they feel bad that the giants haven't explored the wonders of the world like they have. So I don't know. This land is too peaceful. That's a real good inversion on all the other One Piece formula. Nah, I kind of did it. All right. Roto shows up, apologizing. My earlier indiscretion. He's just such a perv. Nobody died, but only because Usopp stopped us from fighting back. Not for that, your head would have left your shoulders. God, he's so badass. You don't stand a chance against them. Gerd is so cool. I have Gerd, so I'm cool too. Gastrointestinal reflux disorder. Oh, baby. It's a dream that's held by everyone in Elbaf. We all wish to be the sun god and rule the world. Okay, so we did see this, that Gerd was cosplaying as some sort of sun god while he was playing with his toys, in a matter of speaking. And then Loki, chained up down in the underworld, also claims to be the sun god. Okay. And we know that the sun god is, like, real and was reincarnated in Luffy, aka Nika. Okay. Where am I going with this? I don't know. But there's a lot going on here. And then the Fishmen, they also were into the sun god. And the Buccaneers were into the sun god. Sun god. I love One Piece reaction shots. In contrast to a lot of other manga series, they would have their character overhear something like this. Zoro would overhear sun god. And then we'd have a panel of internal monologue where Zoro tries to put together a few pieces of lore. But here, Oda knows the real freaks like me, we're already calculating, we're already remembering. And he knows that the kids who are just enjoying the series for the fun of it don't need, like, all of that information. Like, they don't care. And he's saying, yeah, you don't have to care. This is just like a little nod to it so that, you know, if you are inclined, you can kind of remember these concepts and connect the dots. But you don't have to. Zoro's not going to bother. And it's, like, very appropriate, too, because, you know, it would be one thing if Robin reacts to it. You can tell that the gears are turning in her head. But if Zoro reacts to it like this, it's like, he probably does just kind of recall that he's heard about a sun god on a number of occasions lately. And he doesn't really have an understanding of the situation beyond that. Ooh, I love this, too. Is the sun god a ruler, a god of liberation, a god of destruction, or a god of laughter? And I kind of think all three. Again, this is getting into my theory of what the One Piece is and what the end of the story will be. So, like, spoiler alert, because I'm definitely going to be right. Psh, obviously, I'm going to be right. So I think the series is going to end with Luffy removing the One Piece, which is a great plug of the oceans left by Joy Boy, and in doing so, drain out all the excess water and reunite the world into one piece. Okay? But this is a pun because it also enters the world into an era of one unified piece, because he is able to create such a presence across the entire unified world that everyone lives in peace. So he's sort of a ruler, but he's also a god of liberation, because all of these disparate islands that are going through shitty situations are now united and can receive help. But he's also a god of destruction, because in doing so, he will destroy so many things, including Fishman Island, as we were discussing before, as is prophesized. During Fishman Island, of course, they prophesized that Luffy would destroy Fishman Island. And, you know, that just kind of makes a muck out of everything, draining the oceans. And, of course, he's a god of laughter. That one just goes without saying. What's this about a god? Elbaf is home to an ancient religious text known as the Harley. Because it is so ancient, there's many interpretations of it. It needs to be passed down even though no one can translate it anymore, hence the confusion. According to the Harley, the world has been twice been destroyed in the past. In each case, the presence of Nika the sun god is closely tied to it. Okay, so yeah. The first time was when the oceans flooded up to the current level that they are now. The time before that, I don't know, maybe it involves the ancient weapons or something. I don't know. But I'm being more and more convinced that I'm on the right track here. Now, I wonder if Robin can read this. Do you think it's like in poneglyphs? Is he the hero who appeared to save the world from the disaster? The destroyer who lays waste to all. He appears when the world is about to undergo a great transformation. Therefore, the great and mighty of the day always fear Nika's arrival. That makes sense. Bonnie was talking about that guy. It's you, dumbass! Because he is the god of the sun. It is those without hope who seek him the most. Nika wears white clouds around him and appears with white hair, clothes, and jolly laughter. He's Santa Claus! This is just Santa! That must be why everyone said I remind them of him. That has nothing to do with me. Okay, very interesting. Very, very interesting. It's always been unclear what the heck Luffy thinks is going on. It feels like there are things he is experiencing in Gear 5. There's some sort of knowledge or wisdom he has of what that form is and what it enables him to do. He fights with such freedom and confidence in it, but, you know, like he knows that everything he's trying is going to work. All these ridiculous cartoonish attacks. So it's like we don't really understand what his subjective experience in that is. Like what is he hearing when he hears the drums of liberation? Like what is he doing consciously to make this happen? And then it was also very unclear. You know, he had heard some stuff from Bonnie. He had been there when Vegapunk is talking about stuff. This idea of the sun god roams around him. Until now, though, it wasn't really clear to me, like, what he thought of that, what he understood, what he had paid attention to. So this is kind of cool. And I like that it's happening with this old giant chieftain dude. Like, it puts him in a very special role of this very unique and kind of, like, rare type of exposition where Luffy actually explains what he is thinking. That has nothing to do with me. That's kind of where it stands. And then it's over as soon as it began. Don't worry in the fun straw hat. Everybody born in Elbaf idolizes Nika growing up. I won't defend whatever that moron Roto was doing. Even Loki and the late Harald, in a sense, are the results of attempting to be Nika. Is Loki a good guy? I wonder, though. I'm starting to wonder, is maybe Loki actually not as bad as he seems? I'm starting to wonder. Because Luffy has a good sense about this stuff. And he isn't immediately pissed off at Loki. Now, granted, he doesn't really understand what Loki did. We may have a flashback where Loki brutally murders the previous beloved king, Harald. But I don't think it's going to be that simple. I think maybe that was justified. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out. But all I'm going to say is that Luffy is rarely wrong when he judges the character of someone. And so far, it kind of seems like he is ambivalent, leaning towards a little optimistic about this Loki dude. The accursed prince. Even before Loki's birth, King Harald prophesied that he would be killed by his own son. See, that's suspicious. That's suspicious. Like, yes, that prophecy probably did come to pass. I don't think the twist is going to be that Loki didn't actually kill his dad. Otherwise, he would be saying, hey, I didn't even kill him. But I think the fact that they went in assuming that Loki was going to kill his dad, you know, it's a hard knock life being treated like you're already the murderer of a king. Shortly after he was born, he killed the royal family's lucky horse. That was the same year that Linlin killed Chief Jorl, the legendary warrior. Okay. We're connecting the dots on the timeline a little bit here. The country was beset by natural disasters, and the queen passed just a year after giving birth to Loki. Made the underworld his playground, using his innate strength to kill and control vicious animals down there, and then unleash them on villages at just 10 years old. Arson, devastations, Loki's many pranks threatened our lives. Alright, now let's do a little meta storytelling analysis, as we love to do on this channel. So, if this was the true story, if this was like the accurate representation of everything that went down, and Loki really was the scumbag and there's no ulterior motive, I don't think Oda would just be showing us this in singular little panels and describing it like this, narrating it. I think instead this would be saved for some sort of flashback where the emotional tenor of this devastation becomes apparent. And until then, it would be sort of shrouded in mystery. Why does Loki have this reputation? That's been the pattern so far, and it just makes sense from a storytelling perspective, right? You don't want to kind of like spoil the devastation. You got to keep that devastation fresh so it's impactful, right? Okay, so I think because of that, there is more to the story. That this controlling of vicious animals is something somehow empathetic to the animals. The pranks are somehow justified. I don't know. I'm starting to become a Loki stan, is what I'm saying. I could be wrong. Just trying to, you know, assess what directions this arc is going to go. And it's never so simple. It's never just the story you're told when you show up with One Piece. And then worst of all, Loki killed Harald, the greatest king in Elbaf history, right in his own castle up there. The king, kind and radiant king who tried to connect Elbaf with the other countries of the world, who was so terrible of her warlike ways. That's when Gerald got stabbed in the head. The helmet didn't do anything. Nice little moment of comedy there. But yeah, this is like becoming such a complex story. So the king was the one that was trying to open the borders of Elbaf, which is becoming kind of a theme with Elbaf and Wano. And then Loki seems to have tried to stop him. But maybe that would have been bad to connect Elbaf. Like, I feel like there's going to be a lot of inverted lessons here. That we're not just going to get the same theme twice. But here it's like, good that Elbaf is isolationist. I don't know. It's quite interesting. Up there in his own castle, which has kind of remained empty and guarded since then. About 6 years ago, I believe, that Red Hair caught Loki rampaging at Seafrus. Right, this was assumed by a lot of people that Loki was captured by Shanks. Makes sense. I heard that Shanks is here. He was there a little while ago. I don't know where he went. Everything he told you was a lie. I like that he confides in Zoro. This is really cool. This really shows a certain specialness of their relationship. I think Luffy understands that of everyone in the crew, Zoro is the only one that like gets him, you know? I was just rereading Dressrosa a little bit ago. I was sick. I just wanted to indulge in some manga. Nothing too, you know, new or novel or therefore challenging to my thoughts, but something I knew I would just enjoy. So I reread all of Dressrosa, which I really, really love as an arc. And I just the scenes where Luffy's fighting at the Colosseum and everyone is like pissed off because they don't understand why he would jeopardize the whole plan to go fight in the Colosseum. And then Zoro is just like, what the fuck? Why didn't he ask me to join too? I want to fight in the Colosseum. It's like on that wavelength, they are aligned, and nobody else in the crew gets it. He said he knows where Shanks is. Do you have any idea how much I want to see him? Talking about it all the time. It's a way for him to take advantage of you. He doesn't even know. Just basing it on his reputation. Didn't see the guy. If he's lying, I'm not letting him go. I'll beat him up instead. Very plausible. I don't know. It's hard to judge what the strength of Loki actually is. I wonder where he's sneaking around. You guys ever gotten to your destination without me? I'll get the keys to his cubs. We're gonna decide whether he's telling the truth or not. Roto is her servant. I'm Sanchi is number 2. Oh, man. This is absurd. I love this. It's transitioned into a direction that's a lot more, like, motivated, I guess. We're not just having giant shenanigans, checking out the local culture and stuff. Now there's, like, real decisive plotline happening. But it's still kind of a goofy one, you know? We're easing into it. Now it's just this caper where they're trying to unlock Loki. with the brilliant plan of, well, if he's lying, we'll just beat him up. Which, I don't know, maybe it could work. They got Roto as this masochistic slave doing their bidding. Oh, this is so fun. Better taking the start of the show away. He brought a big chunk of meat, obviously. All properly hammered now. They won't even remember what the feast was for. Treasure in the castle will be disappearing. What do you think, Rhoda? My eyesight is poor. I doubt I would even be able to tell it's gone. Now, obviously, we know there's something else going down in the castle. That's where Shanks's brother, perhaps, just warped in. Take your point. In that case, I refuse. The one life I have stooping to the level of trash. Whoa. Okay, so that's where these guys showed up. Shanks's brother and whoever went to go down and include Loki into the League of Nations, whatever it's called, the world government's, you know, United Nations. I guess because they don't like Elbaf being this extremely powerful isolationist country. Which again kind of points to this theme of maybe it's better that Elbaf be isolationist, you know? And they know that Loki has sort of a legitimate claim to the throne. He is the son of the dead king. So yeah, he is against it, which is another point for Loki being actually based and actually a good dude. Or at least kind of a third chaotic party in between good and bad. Agents dispatched to Elbaf sent one last transmission that a giant crow had appeared. Nothing since then. We don't have any dirt on him. Okay. But now that I hear him for myself, he is supremely insolent. The Holy Knight Gunko. Now check out her power here. She's turning her sleeve into like a big arrow, which looks a lot like the big arrows that Imu was using to fight Sabo. Coincidence? I doubt it. But I think those were like black arrows and this is a white arrow. So I don't know. But basically, I guess they came here to scope out whether or not Elbaf would cooperate. And if not, I guess they have carte blanche to just wipe out Loki and be done with it. Because I guess they see there's like a threat here. And they either want to command the threat into being a threat for them, or just get rid of the threat while it's all chained up. Don't get ahead of yourself, Gunko. Ooh. Okay, so this is a demonstration of her powers. A One Piece classic. You gotta see somebody dispatching with relative ease, something with an ambiguous power level, such that Oda doesn't paint himself into a corner with how strong she is, but you are definitely left with the impression that she is strong. And more importantly, you have a sense of what her powers do, what dangers they provide. So she seems to have like total effortless control of this arrow, this snaky arrow thing. You offer to spare its life, would that change your mind? In that case, your fate is sealed, my friend. Die and be at peace. Yes, I'll be sad as well as angry, but a world warrior doesn't quibble and whine about his way of death. Instead, I'll feed on this rage and use it to bring the world to ruin. Yeah, so more and more I'm thinking Loki is like not as bad as they think. That somehow there's some misunderstandings here. That in his own way he was justified. But I don't think he's going to be like a hero either. I think he's ultimately going to have like a very different perspective than Luffy, say, on what liberation means. It's kind of like a classic ideological conflict of I want to destroy all of the current unfair institutions of power so that everyone can live in peace and harmony, versus I am just so pissed off, I am going to bring everything to destruction, including all of the current institutions of unfair power, but I don't really care what happens after that. It could just be even more miserable. It could just be the end of the world. We see this sort of conflict play out all the time. You know, it's a real kind of classic that kind of frames them as definitely opposed, but not in the same way as they're both opposed to the current institutions of power, which is setting up this kind of three-way conflict between Luffy and Loki, and then these mysterious government agents, which is probably Shanks' brother. All right, good stuff. We are still in break heavy season, or actually, I think break heavy season is over. Of course, you know, Oda likes to take a lot of breaks himself, but as far as I know, I will be seeing you a week from now, when we will do both the next chapter and we will do our monthly roundup of Weekly Shonen Jump series, which I'm really excited for. I feel like the magazine has just been fucking killing it this month. It's like sweeps month, maybe, in the minds of the mangaka. Okay, that's good. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.